Hello and welcome to the next edition of the BriefingsDirect Voice of the Customer podcast series. I'm Dana Gardner, Principal Analyst at Inter Arbor Solutions, your host and moderator for this ongoing discussion on digital transformation success stories. Our next hyperconverged infrastructure use case discussion explores how a New Jersey college has embarked on a time-saving virtual desktop infrastructure modernization journey. We'll now hear how the combination of HCI and VDI making the task of deploying and maintaining the latest end-user devices far simpler and cheaper than ever before. Here to help us explore the embrace of a new digital and data-driven culture, from the desktop to the hyper-efficient core, are our guests. So please join me in welcoming Tom Gillen. He's Director of Network and User Services at County College of Morris in Randolph, New Jersey. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you. Hello.
We're also here with Michael Gilchrist. He's Assistant Director of Network Systems at County College of Morris. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you.
And we're also here with Felice Katz. She's CEO of PKA Technologies. Welcome, Felice.
Thanks, Dana.
All right, let's start at the top. What are some of the trends that are driving your need at County College of Morris to modernize and simplify your PC architecture, Tom?
Well, one thing we want to do at the college is we need to be flexible and agile in terms of getting software to the students when they need it, where they need it. In a physical infrastructure, that really isn't too possible. So we realized VDI was a solution that we had to go with to meet our goals, to get the software where the students need it, when they need it. And so that's, the top trend that got us to this point.
Yeah. And is VDI something you're looking for universally, or is this more specific to just students or faculty or certain slices and dices of those communities?
Actually, we're looking to get VDI all throughout the college, faculty, staff, and students. We started out with a pilot of 300 units that we mostly started putting out in labs and common areas for the students, but we're also replacing some older PCs that faculty and staff use as well.
Now, VDI has been around for a while, and for the first few years, there was a lot of promise, but there was some lag. There were complications about certain apps and media that wouldn't run properly. There was network degradation issues. We've worked through a lot of that, but what were some of your top concerns, Michael, when it comes to some of those, higher order infrastructure issues that you have to conquer before you get to the payoff from VDI?
Well, you want to make sure that the user experience is the same thing they would experience on a physical device. Otherwise, they're not going to accept it. So just having the horsepower, nowadays these servers are so powerful, and now that you can put even GPUs and stuff in there, you can run stuff like AutoCAD or Adobe and still give the user the same experience that they would have normally had on the physical device. And, that's what we're finding. Pretty good so far.
And Felice, you've been through this journey, so you know how it was sort of rough and tumble there for a while with VDI. How has that changed from your perspective at PKA?
So when HP made the acquisition, and with SimpliVity, that was, I think, the moment that, defined and was a huge game changer, because it enabled us as a solution provider to bring the right technology to CCM. And that was huge.
Okay, when you're starting out on a transition, you have to sort of keep the wings on the airplane while you're changing the engines, or vice versa. You have to keep things going while you're doing change. Tom, how did you manage to do that? How did you keep your students getting their apps? How have you been able to swap things out in a way that hasn't been disruptive?
Well, the beauty of VDI is that we can switch out a lab completely with thin clients in about an hour. And, we didn't realize that going in. We thought it would take us most of the day. And then when we did it, we're like, oh my God, we're done. We're able to go in there. We could go in there first thing in the morning and knock it out before the students even come in. So, that really helped us get these devices out where the students need them and not be disruptive to them as well.
Tom, how did it work from your perspective in terms of an orderly process? Is there a way that you look to your suppliers and your support from PKA? How do you get to the point where this becomes a routine rather than something that is maybe an obstacle that you have to jump over?
Well, working with PKA, they had the expertise in this area. We worked with them previously on a wireless deployment, and we knew that's who we want to work with because they were professional and thorough. So moving to the thin client system, we contacted them, and they put together a solution that worked well for us, and one that we weren't too aware of with this SimpliVity acquisition. So they determined that this would be the best path for us, and it turned out to be true. They came in, and once we worked with HPE, setting this up and deploying it, Michael did a lot of that work with HPE. It was very simple to do. We were surprised at how simple it was.
Felice, what's different from working at a college campus environment from, say, a small to medium-sized business or another type of enterprise? Is there something specific to a college environment, number of apps, the need for certain people and groups in the college to have different roles within responsibility? How did it shake out?
That's an interesting question. So as a solution provider, as an owner of a business, we always put our best foot forward. It really doesn't matter whether it's a academic institution or a commercial customer. It's always got to be done in the right way. As a matter of fact, in academics, it's even more profound and a lot more pressure because you're dealing with students, you're dealing with faculty, you're dealing with, IT staff. We need to make this, once we're in a go mode, we're under a lot of pressure. We're limited. We have a limited span in between time, between semesters or on vacation and holidays where we have to, be around to help them to get it up and running. The other thing is, especially here, we have to make sure that the customer is enabled, and especially, with these guys, and they're so fabulous to work with. They enabled us to help them to do more with less. And that's what the solution is all about. It's all about simplification. It's all about modernization. It's all about being more efficient. And, as Michael made a comment before so eloquently, it's all about the experience and for the student. So that's what we care about.
Great. Michael, given that the back end is so important, tell us a little bit about where you are in the journey. We've heard that you want to go pervasively to VDI. How far are you into the journey, and what have you had to put in place in the server, in the SimpliVity HCI case, to make that happen?
So far, we have 6 servers in total, 3 servers in each of our 2 data centers that we have on campus for high redundancy. That's going to allow us to cover our initial pilot of 300 thin clients that we're planning on putting out there. So far, as the performance of the system goes, we're not even scratching the surface as far as the compute and the RAM that are available with those first 300. So, when it comes to getting more thin clients, I think we're going to be able to initially tack on, more thin clients initially to the initial subset of servers. And then as we see the load grow, the beauty of SimpliVity is we just buy another server and just rack it up and bolt it in, and that's it. It's just plug and play.
Okay. In order to learn more about how this solution is working out for you, let's dig in a little bit about County College of Morris. It's 50 years old. Tell us, the lay of the land. What's this college all about?
Well, we're located in north central New Jersey, and we're in an affluent area of New Jersey. So that presents some challenges for us because gathering students who come from affluent houses, county colleges aren't their first choice. So we do have a enrollment that's around 8,000 students per semester. That's for credit. We also have a lot of non-credit students coming and going as well. So, as you said, we're 50 years old, and I've been there almost 23 years. I was the second person hired in the IT department. So, I've seen a lot come and go, and we actually just last year inaugurated our 3rd president, 3 presidents in 50 years. So, it's a very stable environment, and it's really a great place to work.
I understand that you've had, with this newest leadership, a bit of a more technical and digital focus. Tell me a little bit about how the culture of the organization, the community college, has changed, and how that may have impacted your leaping into some of the more modern infrastructure to support VDI.
Sure. Well, as I mentioned, we have a new president, and he is very data-driven. He wants data on everything, and frankly, we weren't in a position to provide that. We also changed CIOs. We got a new CIO that came in about a year after the new president, and he is also strong data background. He's more data than technology. With that focus, we really knew that we've got to get systems in place that, are capable of, quick transitions. And this system really did the job for us. And we're looking to expand further beyond that.
Felice, I've heard other people refer to HCI architectures like SimpliVity as the gift that keeps giving. Clearly, the reason to get into this was to support the VDI, which is a difficult workload. But there's also other benefits. What have been some of the other benefits that you've been able to demonstrate to the County College of Morris that come with HCI? Some people say it's compression, it's data savings, it's a disaster recovery path that they hadn't had before. What do you see as some of the ancillary benefits?
So it's all of the above, but to me, and I think to, both Tom and Michael, I think, it's really the simplification. Really, and I think you would agree, it has just uncomplicated their ability for growth and for scale. Look, they're in a very competitive business, okay? Attracting students, as Tom said, that's tough, okay? That's where they have to make the difference. They have to make a difference when, that a student arrives on campus with his, I don't know how many devices, right?
That's 5 now.
5 devices that he comes on board. I mean, how do you contend with that? Besides having this huge pipe for all the data and everything else that they have to, enable, and then you have new ways of learning that, everybody has to step up and, enable them. It's not just about a classroom. It's a whole different world. And, you especially more so in a rural part of New Jersey where you have, you're looking to attract that student, you have to make sure you're at the top of your game.
Mm-hmm. Expectations are higher than ever, and the younger people are even more, demanding because they haven't known anything else.
Yeah, just think about their Xbox. I mean, the Xbox and how many cell phones and, devices, it's just a huge amount. And it's not only for them, it's also for your staff, right? So that's also the same, falls into the same thing.
All right. I mean, we can't have a conversation about infrastructure without getting into the speeds and feeds a little bit. So tell us a little bit about footprint, energy, maintenance, and operating costs. What has this brought to you guys? I mean, you've been doing this for 23 years. You know what a high-maintenance server can be. How has this changed your perspective on keeping a full-fledged infrastructure up and running?
Well, there are tremendous benefits, and, we're seeing that. These 6 servers that we put in, they're replacing a lot of other devices. If we would have went with a different solution, we would have had a rack full of servers to contend with. With this solution, we're putting 3 devices in each of our server rooms to handle this load of our initial 300 deployment and hopefully more soon. So yeah, there's a lot of savings involved, power. There's also a lot of our time being saved because we are not a big shop. Besides Michael and myself, I've got a network administrator and I've got another systems administrator. That's it. 4 people. We just don't have the time to do a lot of things we need to do, and this system solves a lot of those issues.
Anything to offer on that, Michael?
From a resource standpoint, just the deduplication and compression that the SimpliVity system provides, this is insane. I mean, because I'm logically provisioning hundreds of terabytes of information in my VMware system, and I'm only using 1.5 terabytes physically. And just the backup and restore, it's kind of fire and forget. You put this stuff in place, and it really does do what they say. You can restore large VMs in about 1 or 2 seconds and have it back up and running in case something goes haywire. It just makes my life a lot easier. And not having to worry about, what's my backup vendor or what's my SAN vendor, and trying to combine all those systems into one. Well, SimpliVity just takes care of all that. It's a one-stop shop.
All in one, Felice, is that a fair characterization?
That is a very, very true assessment, okay? And again, my goal, my responsibility is to bring forward the best solution for my customers. And, having HPE in my corner, okay, with this is huge, and that gives, me the advantage to help them. And so that we're, able to put together a true really great solution for them.
Mm-hmm. Now, I've heard other folks say that there's sort of a progression, that you move from bare metal to virtualization. You move from virtualization to hyperconverged infrastructure, and that puts you on a path to start doing private cloud and then hybrid cloud. And in doing this, you're also getting used to that push-button programmatic approach to infrastructure, so composable infrastructure. Do you feel that this is helping you modernize your organization, and where might it lead to in terms of that progression?
I do. With the experience we're gaining with SimpliVity, we see that this can go well beyond VDI, and we're excited about that because, we're getting to a point where our current infrastructure is getting a little long in the tooth, and we need to make some decisions. And right now, the two of us are like, this is the only decision we want to make. This is the way we're going to go.
So I've also heard, VDI is like the New York of IT. If you can do it there, you can do it anywhere, right? So what next workloads do you have in mind? Is this ERP? Is this business apps? Is this what?
All the above. We're definitely looking to put some of our server loads into the VDI world, and just the benefits that SimpliVity gives to us in terms of, business continuity and redundancy. It really is a no-brainer for us. And yes, ERP, we've got our ERP system currently virtualized, and, the way Michael has things set up now, it's going to be an easy transition for us when we get to that point.
Now, we've talked a lot about the hardware, but we also have to factor in the software, right? So you've been using VMware and Horizon approach to mobility and the workstations, and that's workspaces rather, and that's great. But what about moving towards cloud? Do you want to have sort of a more heterogeneity when it comes to choice in your hypervisor? Does that set you another path to make choices about private cloud? So what comes next in terms of what you support on the software platform in addition to having such a great HCI hardware platform?
We've got decisions to make when it comes to cloud. We're doing some things in the cloud now, but there are some things we don't want to do in the cloud. HP has a lot of solutions, and we attended a discussion yesterday with the CEO of HP about where they're headed. And they're saying, hybrid is the way to go. You're going to have some on-prem, you're going to have some off. And that's where we see the County College Morris going as well. All right.
VDI is hot now. There's a lot of places that are getting into it. It's like I said in the past, had some complications, but it's become sort of a no-brainer. What advice would you all give to other organizations that are maybe a little earlier or maybe later in starting out to VDI? What would you tell somebody, say, if they're 6 months behind where you were, that might save them a step or two?
Well, first thing I would offer them is get yourself a good partner, because there are so many things that you don't know about this complete system, and having a good partner like PKA, they brought a lot to the table. They could have easily provided a solution to us that was just a bunch of servers and the way we were doing things, and we probably would agree
better.
Yeah, they bring in the expertise, and we didn't know about SimpliVity, and once they showed us everything this thing could do, we were skeptical, but it does it. We're real happy with it, and I got to say, having a good partner is step number one.
All right, last question to you, and a similar question. Felice, what recommendations do you have for organizations that are maybe dipping their toe into workloads like VDI, but what is it about hyperconverged infrastructure in particular that they should consider? What is it about this software-defined, including the server, the storage, more and more software-defined network? How does that message best be delivered to people that are just adopting at the outset?
So if they're looking for flexible architecture, if they're looking for the agility, to be able to make those moves down the road, and that's part of where their minds are, they really have to do the due diligence, as both Tom and Michael and their team did, to really understand what are their needs, what are their really right requirements, not just for today, but going down the road for the future. Because when you adopt a new architecture, you're displacing really a lot of your older methodology. It's a different world, and being in the hybrid world, you need that ability to move and to the move of the workloads back and forth. So it's a very great it's a great time right now. It's a great place to be because things are working and they're clicking, and we have, all that type of reference architecture now available to help. But it's really doing their homework, and they're a great team to work with. I wish every customer was like that. They're just, it's really a pleasure. It's a lot of fun. And I would be remiss to say I have a great team. Okay, my team that is behind that really does the day-to-day transactions, okay, with CCM is really, from my sales to my technical, Angie Mancata, Patrick Bruss, they were just all in with them. And I think that makes also a very huge difference when you connect also with the OEM and with HPE, on the right solution. So that's really been great.
Okay, I'm afraid we'll have to leave it there. We've been exploring how a New Jersey college has embarked on a time-saving virtual desktop infrastructure modernization journey. And we've learned how the combination of HCI and VDI is making the task of deploying and maintaining the latest end-user devices far simpler and cheaper, perhaps, than ever before. So please join me in thanking our guests who've been here with Tom Gillen. He's the Director of Network and User Services at County College of Morris in Randolph, New Jersey. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
And Michael Gilchrist has been with us. He's Assistant Director of Network Systems at County College of Morris. Thank you so much, Michael.
Thank you for having me.
And Felice Katz, CEO of PKA Technologies. Thank you.
Dana, thank you so much. It's really been a pleasure.
And a big thank you to our audience as well for joining this BriefingsDirect Voice of the Customer Digital Transformation Success Story discussion. I'm Dana Gardner, Principal Analyst at Inter Arbor Solutions, your host for this ongoing series of Hewlett-Packard Enterprise-sponsored interviews. Thanks again for listening. Please pass this on to your IT community and do come back next time.